Trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about emotional abuse and suicide, so just be aware that that's going to come up in this video, okay? I'm sick of hearing people tell me my Affirmations for Bullying Victims message is fake, pretentious positivity. So I'm going to explain where in my life all those words come from. There are insensitive people out there who think it's funny to slap down something somebody is using to heal their worst, deepest pains. They claim they do it because they don't like fake positivity. There's nothing fake about the AFBV. Maybe explaining where it comes from will help you realize knocking people back into the hole they're clawing their way out of is a crappy thing to do. I don't pretend this message is going to help everybody, but it will help somebody. Sometimes the best way to heal yourself is to help others heal. I survived extreme, soul-destroying bullying practically alone, and I don't want somebody else to feel that alone in their struggle. That's what the AFBV is about. Affirmations for Bullying Victims, #AFBV by Cindy H. Me. This is a message to anyone who is being bullied right now. It doesn't matter if it's online or in real life, this is for you. This pretty much stands on its own. You matter. There were so many times in my life where I was told I didn't matter, that I'm in the way, that I'm annoying, that I should sit down, shut up, take the crap I get from people, and stop making my presence known. I felt like nobody cared that I was being bullied or how much pain I was in. I didn't think I mattered in the world, and that was reinforced every day by the people who bullied me and the people who ignored it. I have to fight constantly to convince myself that I matter, because scars like that don't just go away. Your opinions matter. I always got laughed at for daring to go against the grain on anything in school. Once, there were a couple of boys throwing rocks at a lizard they cornered between 2 blocks of lockers. I ran over screaming at them and blocked the way, so they threw rocks at my legs instead. It hurt. I had bruises and I was pissed. The lizard was able to get away, thankfully, but I had to listen to Lizard Lover Girl for weeks. Ironically, I'm a massive Godzilla fan, so that one really didn't hurt too much. People found a new way to mock me because I expressed an opinion that a defenseless animal didn't deserve to have rocks thrown at it. I got mocked anytime I expressed my opinion on something, no matter what that opinion was. Admittedly, there are some opinions out there that are dangerous and harmful, such as opinions about vaccines causing autism or white supremacy. Those are not opinions I'm talking about. The kinds of opinions I'm talking about are harmless ones, like, it's not funny to throw rocks at animals, or Power Rangers is an awesome show. Your feelings matter. As a survivor of emotional abuse, this is a huge one for me. Huge, massive, enormous. I got this message from bullies at school, and it was reinforced by my dad at home when he told me I whined too much. I was not allowed to express my feelings unless he approved of why I said I felt a certain way. Otherwise, I got, "You're not really that upset over that," or "Stop crying. You're supposed to be an adult. I was 14. Or, "That's not a reason to get so mad. You get mad at everything." And so on and so on. What did you do to make these kids start teasing you? was the most hurtful, soul-destroying, devastating thing my dad has ever said to me, because all I did was exist around my peers. I existed as somebody too short, too skinny, and too weird. That sentence led me to ceasing to report bullying incidents and cease bringing it up to my parents. This was shortly after my autism diagnosis, so I thought I was broken. No matter what I did, no matter how normal I tried to act, or how hard I worked to fit in, it was worthless. Nobody cared about how I felt or that I was in pain. I thought I deserved what I got for being a waste of atoms. My feelings meant nothing to people, so I turned inward. I still struggle to accept that there are people who care about how I feel. Your thoughts matter. This runs in the same vein as above. I expressed what I thought about things, and I didn't think like my peers, so expressing myself became a subject of mockery. If I showed excitement for something, I got laughed at, and my hand flapping became a huge joke. If I spoke out in class after being called on to express a thought, it turned into another joke. I stopped expressing my thoughts and stopped talking about what interested me or what I cared about, because it just got me made fun of anyway. Your dreams matter. One of my wilder dreams was to be an astronaut. I knew that one was never going to happen, but I spoke and joked about it anyway because it was fun to daydream about walking on the moon or Mars. I didn't care about that getting made fun of because it wasn't super serious. I dared to say out loud once, I dream of a world where people aren't mean to each other anymore. And oh boy, that was serious, and I got destroyed for it. People were meaner to me. One of the cruel girls who made my life suck at school said, "Arsler, people like you don't get to dream. You get locked up." And they made fun of me because sometimes I hung around and played board games with the special ed kids who actually had intellectual disabilities. I acted similarly to them due to the fact that I'm autistic. But even today, people think autism and intellectual disability are the same thing. They're not. So I got the message that being autistic once again meant everything I expressed about my dreams was ground to make fun of me even more. I quit talking about my dreams. Your life matters. Kill yourself is such a throwaway line on the internet. I had it said to my face at school several times a week. That doesn't make it any worse or better than seeing it online, but getting that message over and over will chip away even the most confident person. The incident that made me finally attempt suicide was 3 girls shoving my face into a toilet while screaming horrible things into my ears about how I was a walking disease that nobody wanted around. It went on so long that I accepted that I was probably going to die with my head in a toilet bowl where crap like me belonged. A teacher walked in on us, and they pretended they were helping me because I got sick. I went with it because I was afraid telling on them right there would get me beat up or worse. I was taken to the nurse to call my mom and went home. Mom left me at home to get some soup or to run errands. I don't remember exactly. I went to the kitchen when she was gone, popped a whole bunch of Benadryl, diphenhydramine, capsules out of their blister packs. I stuck them all into my mouth, filled a glass with water, and thought, God, if you don't want me up there, make me spit these pills out. And I sneezed. Pills went everywhere. I felt rejected even by God. I cleaned everything up, cried so hard I couldn't see straight, washed my face after, and pretended I was fine. I know now that was a redirection, not a rejection. I was 16 years old. You are special. I don't mean special like special needs at all. Everybody has something special about them that makes them who they are. I had to hear constantly that I was nothing, that I meant nothing, and that I contributed nothing. If you've ever heard somebody say you're nothing, you have no idea how much it hurts. You are beautiful. This one is one I still struggle to believe because I spent most of my formative years hearing how ugly I am. I'm very short. I'm underweight. I never developed the curves you expect of a cisgender girl who is becoming a woman. I have the figure I had at age 13, and the only outward signs of puberty is that I menstruate and have pubic hair. I still don't fit into many adult clothes, and as a teenager it was worse. I never looked my age, and I couldn't dress my age because clothes meant for my age group didn't fit me. There was no physical way for me to look like my peers no matter how hard I tried. I started wearing lipstick thinking that would make me look older, but it made me the butt of more jokes. I couldn't win. I still struggle with my appearance. I wear red lipstick anytime I want to feel strong or tough because I associate red lips with being beautiful, powerful, and seductive. If you see me with red lipstick on, it's because I'm giving myself a little boost of confidence. But beauty is more than looks. It's who you are and how you treat others. Physical beauty doesn't last forever, but a kind heart never goes out of fashion. You are talented. My singing voice was a favorite thing for people to make fun of in school. I loved to sing, but there was a decade where I thought my voice was horrible because it's not a typical soprano voice. It's quiet, it floats, it's insubstantial. It almost doesn't sound like a human voice at all if the music is just right. My high school choir teacher set me up to fail a solo audition for the school's Broadway concert. It went about as well as a bad American Idol audition because I wasn't able to practice the song the way I needed to before the audition. I asked for help for weeks beforehand, and she kept putting me off for other students. It was one of the most humiliating moments of my life. Singing is a talent I happen to have. It's something I'm decently good at, and my love of doing it was almost destroyed by people who didn't want me to love anything about myself. You are valuable. Having someone say to my face that I have no value and my life is worthless was painful. Everybody's life has value. Every person is valuable. You can't put a price tag on someone's life. But for a long time, I believed my life was a life that wasn't valuable because everything I tried to contribute led to me being humiliated, mocked, and bullied. You are wonderful. My sophomore science teacher said this to me when he saw how good I was with the animals kept in the classroom. It was probably the only positive statement that I actually believed during my time in high school. Mr. M let me hide out in his classroom during lunch because he saw how the other kids treated me. I technically wasn't supposed to eat lunch there, but I did it and he let me. He let me feed the animals, and he didn't laugh at me when I talked to them. I was that one girl who wasn't afraid to hold the snake or the iguanas. Those animals were a refuge, and Mr. M gave me a school year of lunchtimes without being harassed. I'm so grateful for that. You are respected, because I wasn't for a long time. The worst thing was I forgot how to respect myself. I went through a long period where I just didn't care. I went through the motions of what I had to do in life without feeling much of it. I shut myself off after graduating high school. I think of it as putting my soul in a cast, like you put a cast on a broken arm or leg. I immobilized myself to avoid getting hurt again. It took me years to cut that cast off. Sometimes I find myself trying to put it back on, and I have to talk myself back out of it. My self-respect is worth something, and I gain nothing by placing that in someone else's hands. You are cared about. The worst thing about being bullied is when people blow you off for reporting it. That's what happened to me all the time. Then my dad dropped the "what did you do" line on me, and that shattered my belief that anybody really cared about me. If people cared as much as they claimed, why didn't they help me when I needed it? It hurt. It hurt every atom of me. I know full well today that I have people who care about me, and there is always that nagging demon from my past that tries to tell me people only care out of pity and not love. That demon is a little jerk, and I have to flick it away almost every day of my life. You are strong. Strong isn't always who can throw the hardest punch or lift the most weight. Sometimes strong is realizing you endured and survived something you never imagined living through. There were days during my teen years where I couldn't picture the next morning because I longed to die so much that I didn't care to consider the future. And here I am, realizing the absolute catastrophe of an adolescence I lived through. I survived it alone, but other people don't have to. Even if all I can do for somebody is yell into the dark that it won't last forever, I'm going to frickin' yell until I'm hoarse. Sometimes strength is only visible in hindsight. You are a good person. This comes from enduring emotional abuse so much during my formative years. Parents are only supposed to get mad at their kids if they do something bad. But my dad got mad at me for having strong emotions or expressing strong emotions to him. I made him mad, so I thought I was a bad person because bad people get yelled at. At school, I got yelled at and called hateful things by my peers. Only bad people get yelled at and called names, so I internalized the notion that I was bad somehow. A bad person who deserved bad things. Now I know that isn't true, but at the time it was my biggest intrusive thought. I was a bad person because I existed, and by existing I broke some kind of universal rule only bad people broke. I still fight this one. It loves to crop up when I feel low. You are loved. It's so hard to feel loved when the number of people who hate you outnumber those who love you. There was a brief period where even my imagination worked against me, because I imagined the fictional characters I took comfort in wouldn't love me or like me either. I imagined they would all find me annoying and useless like a lot of people in my real life seem to feel. That was awful. It's taken me almost 20 years to even slightly love myself again. There are days where I don't. It's hard. I don't want somebody else to feel this way. You can succeed. A callback to the humiliating choir incident in high school. I never believed anybody could like or want to hear me sing until somebody online went absolutely bonkers over my singing voice. They said it was the most beautiful voice they ever heard. The first choir director I met for my church choir also went gaga over my voice and told me he never heard a soprano who sounded like that before. Little by little, I began to believe my voice was worth hearing. I started posting song covers on my YouTube channel. I stood up in front of my church at midnight mass and solo sang the opening bars of Silent Night. I succeeded at something I spent my life being told I couldn't do by people who wanted me to give up. I'm glad they didn't win. You can reach out. Thanks to the emotional abuse and not being listened to when I reported being bullied, I still struggle with a tendency to go radio silent and shut down when I'm unhappy. Life has drilled into me that nobody wants me around if I'm not being appropriately bubbly or happy. My dad accused me of being sour grapes and a baby if I didn't fake my mood matching the people around me, which further reinforced the nobody cares when you feel bad mindset, which further prevented me from reaching out for comfort when I was unhappy. Even today, I can say I'm fine, and then start to cry and continue to insist I'm fine when I'm not. And I'll apologize for crying because the nobody cares or wants to deal with you when you feel bad mindset has been baked into me since childhood. The biggest step I ever took was going into counseling, where I have to talk about my feelings. I have friends who will listen to me no matter what I have to say. But sometimes it still has to get literally hogtied and dragged out of me because there are decades of scar tissue to peel back. It's really hard to want to reach out when your hand has been bitten again and again. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. You can hold on. Sometimes I look back on my life and realize what I survived. This is a more current affirmation in the sense that it comes from after the bullying rather than during it. I didn't think I could hold on, but I did. I've helped other people hold on too, like my friend Donnie, or Tiffany, or Shayna, or the girl I talked to in 2014 who was about to take her life until I butt in on her Tumblr and talked to her out of it. She's about 19 now, I reckon. And it makes my heart sing when I see her post on my dash about how her life is now. Maybe someday she'll turn around and talk another teenager out of suicide, and it'll become a chain reaction. It's always the darkest before the dawn. Sometimes things feel worse before they get better. Hang on. Just hang on. Sometimes hanging on is the strongest thing you can do. You can overcome. Another one that's more current. A lot of fears were instilled into me during a vulnerable period in my life, and I have been steadily facing those fears. Sometimes I have to take tiny baby steps, and sometimes I have to take leaps of faith. I move, even when I'm terrified to, because not moving is worse for me. It's okay to be still while you gather up your wits or talk yourself through being scared, but don't stay frozen. Don't stagnate. Move, even if it's to breathe. Move. You mean something. Every life means something. I had to create my own meaning for myself after years of letting other people determine how much my life meant. I might not be here if I let the bullies from school dictate the rest of my life to me. Believe me when I say they try. Echoes of things they had me believing about myself still shout at me from 20 plus years ago. Sometimes I am still that girl who wanted to give up. I have to yell into the dark at her that she doesn't live there anymore. I tell past me that she means something to present me, and that future me is waiting to meet her. You have worth. Nobody has the right to dictate your worth to you. Nobody. I spent too much of my life believing myself worthless and a waste of space. I slide back into that mindset so easily. Everything is so much harder when I fall back into this hole of thinking I don't mean jack to anybody. Life with emotional abuse hurled me through this notion that my problems are never important enough compared to everybody else. It's well, if nothing bigger is going on, maybe somebody will get to you sort of thing. Except there is always something bigger going on. So there I sit, unrecognized in my pain. It's a frustrating thing, and I struggle with it. You deserve to live. Something I didn't believe until after high school. I didn't realize then that every day after my suicide attempt was a new opportunity to make the world better. I spent so many years being bitter and hateful because I wasn't grateful to be alive. But now I am. Even on days where I feel like crap and wish I didn't exist, I tell myself I'm alive and can do something. Even if that something is to breathe, I breathe louder. I make noise inside myself. I make my existence known. Because I deserve to be here. I love you. I love you. I love you. Hating myself is something I'm so good at. I did it for several years, and it didn't get me anywhere. There are times where I sink back into that state and have to claw my way back out. Sometimes the tiny thing that helps me get out is getting on my iPad and finding that somebody said, "I love you," to me. Those are healing words, and we all need to say them more often. Say it to your reflection. If you can't, I'll say it to you until you can. I love you. 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 That's what the AFBV means. That's what it is. It's not just fake positivity.